Happy New Year!
You know it's April, right?
Well, gotcha. April Fools.
Yeah, you missed that too.
Well, I've been told that time is a construct, conveniently just like this next project, which if you read the title, then you know that I'm attempting to dive into creating my own custom electric violin. This is part one of potentially many parts, and I make no guarantees as to the outcome of this little project, but I've dipped my toes into this sort of thing just enough. I figure I might as well give it a shot. To start with, my inspiration for this whole project is the Wood Violin's Viper model. It comes equipped with a chest support system that folds out and a strap that completely props up the violin without needing to use your neck or chin. And as someone who's had tendonitis issues and jaw surgery a couple of times, for me this is a really positive feature. And while there are also other products out there that aim to achieve a similar result, more or less, I think the best and most secure solution is specifically built for the instrument. So, getting started, the first step was to drag out my violins and take some rough measurements. The interesting part of this process was going into some luthier forums to discover there are different methods of measuring instruments. Using a flexible measuring tape appears to be the norm, which folds any curvature into that measurement, like for the back of an acoustic violin. But not everyone preferred or agreed with this method. There are apparently ways to signify which method is used when taking the measurements, but that information isn't always included. So ultimately, if you're comparing instruments based on size measurements, you may want to look into that funny detail. And also, when you're in the middle of trying to decide how to measure something like the length of a scroll-shaped object, it does make you feel like measurements are also kind of a construct. As long as I'm consistent with my own measurements, none of this matters, but I did mistakenly think this would be the most straightforward part. I additionally obtained some standard violin measurements online, which I will be cross-referencing in the future, but for now I just needed to get somewhere in the ballpark. Could I have just traced around one of my violins and called it a day? Well, as I always say, there's no point in doing anything if you can't overdo it several times over. Body-wise, I already know I want the violin to be mostly a stick design between the nut and the bridge in order to make access to the fingerboard as easy as possible. On my Zeta violin, if I want to get really up close to the bridge, I can sometimes hit my bow hand against part of the lower pointed edge if I'm not being careful. So there isn't a lot of room left to design the body, but I did spend some time making a bunch of progressively more ridiculous and impractical little sketches, picked a couple of the more promising designs, and then made full-size patterns for them. If you're looking for a cheap source of tissue paper, a hint I learned from the sewing community is to use doctor's exam paper. I bought a small case of this stuff years ago, and I'm not about to run out anytime soon. You'll see in a minute, but I'm doing this so I can cut the designs out in foam board in order to have a physical model to evaluate. And there are likely going to be many more iterations of this process before things become finalized. In terms of the project as a whole, number one, I'm still playing around with both the idea of making this a 7/8 size violin, as well as potentially adding a 5th or 6th string. Number two, frets or no frets. On a violin, they exist as a way to feel where your fingers should be placed when in a live sound situation and a questionable ability to hear yourself. They don't actually function the same as guitar frets. It did occur to me that a replaceable fingerboard that gave you the option to have either options on the same instrument would be a great feature, but I also feel like that's probably not a feature I'm going to attempt this first try around. Number three, placement of tuning pegs, top or bottom. Number four, pickup and bridge options. How I'm going to test the various pickup options without having to buy them all is to be determined. I guess I'll deal with that when I get there. Number five, do I want to add a chin rest option? Number six, shoulder rest design, which I'm anticipating will be some sort of comfort padding curved around the shoulder. Number seven, engineering the brace support system. Number 8, the final boss. How do I move beyond a 3D print and create the instrument in sturdier materials? This point is way, way into the future, but I am keeping it in mind during the design process. So these are the two best options at the moment, and they're okay. This one was supposed to be sort of origami inspired, though this little notch here looks a little weird once you take it off the page and into a physical object. You know, the shape is also weird, but it will have some sort of shoulder rest sort of attached to it. So, you know, it's not totally ruled out. And then this one was supposed to be a firefly. I had this whole idea that either the bottom part or like the whole back would be lit up. If you turn it around, it kind of looks like a tulip. So I don't know. You know, it's a minimal shape, but yeah, I think these both need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. And I'll be working on that while I get started on some of the other parts, since this process is going to be rather non-linear. Sorry, I'm distracted by my cat here. Pay the cat tax. Pay the cat tax. So I'll be working on this in between other projects and videos. Specifically, I'd like to get back to writing some more music this year, but feel free to chime in with tips, suggestions, complaints, though I will ignore your complaints, but you know, feel free as long as it's constructive. And until next time, however you measure that.